Hello everyone, welcome back with me, Pujayanti. So in this video, I will give some material about causative. Before we start, I will tell you what we will discuss today. So you can see on the screen, we are going to talk about the definition of causative, components of causatives, types of causative. The verbs are commonly used in causatives. There are have, get, make, let, and some modal auxiliary verbs. And the last but not least, the exercise. So let's start the lesson. The first is the definition of causatives. Causatives are the verbs that are used to indicate that one person causes another person to do something for the first person. It places the causer into an intransitive clause, and the original subject becomes the object. One can cause somebody to do something for him or her by asking, paying, requesting, or forcing the person. In other words, causatives are the verbs that make the subject, can be a human or other subject, do something. What you need to remember to mark the causative sentence is that the activity experienced by the subject is the result of the work of other people, not himself. So, causative itself can be interpreted as an adjective or a noun. In adjective, causative is an object or person that can cause an impact from the action of a person or other object. While in the noun sense, causative is a word or verb that has the meaning of causing something to happen. So, there are several examples of words that are included in the causative. There are allow, convince, cause, force, enable, have, hold, get, lead, keep, let, make, permit, motivate, and require. Even though there are many words, there are only 4 words or verbs that are often used, namely get, have, make, and let. So here the example. I had my nail done. In the sentence, there is a subject, namely I, even though the sentence states that an event has occurred to the subject. Subject doesn't actually do it. Does it mean? The subject's nails have been tidied off by someone else at the request of the subject. Why do we use causatives? So we use causatives when we know that the subject didn't do the action on their own. Actually, the subjects in causative sentences lead someone else to do the action. Here the example which can help to understand the concept. Eric let Puja do the project. So in the sentence, Eric as the subject give permission to Puja to do something, namely project. And then, how do you define causatives? Causative sentences are made of 2 clauses. The first clause consists of the causative verbs, and it's called the main clause. While the second clause consists of participle to infinitive or a bare infinitive, and it's called a non-finite clause. So both these clauses are subordinate clauses that are not complete without each other. Next, components of causatives. Causatives are made of 4 main factors. There are subject, causative verbs, indirect object, and the last non-finite clause. So the first, subject of causative verbs. You can use any kind of subject, whether noun, noun phrase, pronoun, proper nouns, etc., as the subject of a causative sentence. So here are a few of samples. Puja made him cry. They made me kill him. So in these causative sentences, use subject pronouns. There are Puja as she and they. Next, causative verbs. Causative verbs are the main verbs that indicate the relation between the subject and the agent. Causative verbs show the subject didn't do the action but had a leading role in the occurrence of the event. So, example, he forced me to study English at school. So, in the sentence, the causative verb is force. The subject, he forced me to study English at school. But there are many causative verbs in English, but they are all categorized into three main groups. So, there are causatives with to infinitive, causatives with bare infinitive, and last, semi-causative. So here the explanation. Causatives with to infinitive. Most causative verbs such as convince, enable, cause, allow, force, lead, etc. are followed by a to infinitive. But the most common and important causative verb in this group is the causative verb get. Check out the example. I got the painter to paint the room. So got as causative verbs and to paint as to infinitive. And then causatives with bare infinitive. Have, let, make are consecutive verbs, also called catenative verbs or link verbs, that cannot be followed by two infinitives. So as causative verbs, they are just followed by the bare infinitive. Here's the example. I had him cut the buses. This sentence had as causative verb and cut as a bare infinitive. And then semi-causative. The verb help is called a semi-causative because if we consider its meaning, it will get obvious that the verb is not causing something. It's actually playing a role in completing the action. After help, you can use whether a bare infinitive or a to infinitive. Using a to infinitive is considered more formal, and using a bare infinitive is a less formal. So here the example. He helped me park the motorbike. So in the sentence, the causative verb is help and park as bare infinitive. And the third component is indirect object of a causative verb. The indirect object is used directly after the causative verb. An indirect object in causative voice is called the agent, and it can be a thing, person, proper noun, or a noun object pronoun. For example, I made him buy the groceries. So in the sentence, the indirect object is him, and it includes in object pronouns. And next, non-finite clauses. A non-finite clause is added to the main clause. Non-finite clauses can be made of to infinitive, bare infinitive, present participle, and past participle. Among non-finite clauses that are mentioned above, you are familiar with clauses that are formed by the to infinitive and the bare infinitive. Some non-finite clauses are formed by present participle of verb ing or past participle verb 3. Only a few causative verbs get, have, keep are followed by participle non-finite clauses. So here the example. I got my hair cut. The sentence used verb got and cut as a bare infinitive. So next we will discuss about the types of causative. There are two types of causatives. There are active causatives and passive causatives. Active causatives. In active sentences, the causative verb will change to active causative. In the active voice form, there are three important components in the form of agent, actor of the action, and action verb, actions carried out by agents, which can be in the form of basic verb, bare infinitive, or verb that begin with to infinitive. The correct sentence structure is subject plus causative verb plus agent plus action verb or bare infinitive or to infinitive. And the verb used in active causative are let, have, make, and get. And the second type is passive causative. In addition, causatives used in active sentences, it's also found in passive sentences, or usually we call it passive causative. So there is no mention of agent in the passive voice. So we can add by if we still want to mention the agent. All the causative forms used in the passive causatives are generally the same as the form in general: let, make, have, and get. But there are two that are most verb often used, namely have and get. So the structure in the passive sentence is subject plus causative verb plus object plus action verb, bare infinitive or to infinitive. Next, the verbs are commonly used in causative verbs. There are have, get, make, let, and some models. So the first is have. Have is used when you want to give someone the responsibility to do something further. In active causative has the formula is subject, have or had plus agent plus action plus verb, bare infinitive plus object. So the example, I had Jenny bring the cupcakes. So in the sentence, Jenny must doing something for subject I, which is bring the cupcakes. And then in passive causatives, here this formula, subject plus have or had plus object plus action plus verb, verb 3. So the example, Rio have his car repaired. So the sentence means that Rio's car have been repaired by someone else. And then get. This causative verb actually has a meaning that is almost similar to have, because get is used to make people do something. However, there is difference in sentence structure between get and have. Usually, sentences with the causative verb have is followed by a bare infinitive, while get is followed by an to infinitive verb. So, in active causative, the formula is subject, get or got, plus agent, plus to, plus action verb, to infinitive. So, the example is Kathy gets Justin to go shop some fruits. So in this case, Katie asks Justin to go shopping for fruits, where Justin can convince Katie to buy some of these fruits. In passive causatives, the formula is subject, get plus got plus object plus action verb or verb 3. So the example, Puja got the house cleaned, which means that Puja's house had been cleaned at Puja's own request. And then make. When we use the causative verb make, it's usually when we want to force or convince someone to do something that might be beyond their control. So in active voice, the formula is subject, make or made, plus agent, plus action verb or bare infinitive. So here the example, Mr. Smith made his daughter sweep the floor. In the sentence, the subject is Mr. Smith, where he orders his daughter to sweep the floor. This activity is included in first because the child inevitably has to do what Mr. Smith asks. Next, let. Let is more polite to use because it means to give someone permission to do something. Let is a causative verb, which also often occurs in its usage, which is usually used when we give permission to someone or let someone to do something. The formula for using let includes active voice, subject, let plus agent plus action verb or bare infinitive. So the example, Agustini let her sister borrow her book. In this case, Agustini gave her sister permission to borrow the book, which means the borrower is Agustini's sister, so the one doing the work is Agustini's sister. And then modal auxiliary verbs. In addition, modal auxiliary verbs can also be used with causative sentence structure. Often modals express suggestion from the speaker. For example, Eric should have the house done before New Year. The sentence also contains suggestion for Eric to repair or finish his house before the New Year. She should get her decision changed. So the sentence is in the form of a suggestion so that the intended person must change her decision. So we have come to the last part. Yeah, the exercise. So you can see on the screen, as usual, I will give 10 questions regarding the material that we have discussed. And to practice your understanding and to access them, please enter the link below the exercise. So that's all for our material today. Thank you for kind attention. See you in another video.